In this tutorial, we'll walk through creating and managing playlists in OptiSigns. If you haven't done so already, we highly recommend first watching our video guides on getting started with OptiSigns, managing screens, and managing assets. Those tutorials are available in the OptiSigns 101 playlist on YouTube. A playlist within the OptiSigns platform is a group of assets that will rotate in a desired order and duration. Learning to manage playlists allows you to easily organize and display your content across all your screens. From the Playlist tab in the OptiSigns portal, you can create a playlist by clicking Create Playlist and giving it a name. Just click outside of the name field and the playlist name will automatically save. Next, we want to add content to our playlist. You can do that by dragging in assets from your Files and Assets library from the right panel. This panel contains all of the content that you've already uploaded or created in your Files and Assets tab. If you've created folders to organize your assets, you can view the content of a folder by clicking on it. To navigate back out of the folders, you can just click Home and you'll be returned to the main directory of your files and assets. To add content to your playlist, simply drag and drop the desired assets into the playlist panel and the updates are saved automatically. You can customize the display durations of each asset by clicking on the numbers to the left of the pencil tool. You can also batch edit assets by selecting multiple assets and editing the duration, delete them, or whatever edits you need to make. You can click Preview to get a quick glimpse of your content in action. Keep in mind the Preview function has some limitations, so more complex assets may not display correctly in Preview, but will function normally when displayed on a target screen. If an asset is not displaying correctly in Preview, you can use a web player for testing purposes, as covered in the Managing Screens video. To do this, make sure you've paired a web player at webplayer.optisigns.com and push your playlist to the web player. If you have a specific piece of content in the playlist, for example, a commercial ad, that you only want to intermittently display, you can click on the gear icon next to the asset and set a custom interval. I'll set this to play every 30 minutes. This will now limit the advertisement to play once every 30 minutes. Outside of customizations like that, assets in a playlist will repeat in a loop as ordered in the list. However, you can customize how your content cycles through by clicking on the gear icon. Here you can customize your display options, set your assets to shuffle, or edit the transition animation type and speed between assets. Once your playlist is set up to your satisfaction, you can push it directly to a screen right from the playlist page by clicking Push to Screen, targeting a paired screen or screen tag, making your selection from the drop-down menu, and selecting Push. You can learn more about pairing screens and using screen tags in our screen management video guide. Let's take a look at a more advanced use case for playlists. For this example, we'll set up multiple playlists that will deliver a mix of corporate or company-wide content along with market or location-specific content. This method is applicable for a retail chain that needs to display both company-wide and regional promotions, or internal comms for a multi-site company that wants to display a mix of corporate and branch office-specific content. We'll also create teams and permissions that will allow us to grant or limit access to edit certain content. Teams are users that share the same level of permissions. Permissions grant or restrict the ability to view or edit content or playlists. To do this, I'll first create my teams. I'll go to my account dropdown and select Account Members. I'll add a team named Corporate Internal Office and another named East Region Team. Now that I've created my teams, I'll go back to my playlist screen and refresh. Now next to my account profile, you'll see it has a default designation next to it. That's because I'm operating within the default account. To switch between team accounts, you can click on the Account drop-down menu and then go to a team. I'll continue on in the default account for this. Let's get started making our playlist by creating a folder. I'll click Create Folder, and we'll name this folder Corporate and save. The folder will now appear in the left panel along with our playlists. Next, we'll hover over the folder, click the three dots, and select Change Permission. In this menu, you can assign or edit permissions from any of your pre-existing teams. I'll select the team we created called Corporate Internal Office, and I'll grant them permission to view and edit the playlists in this folder. Now I'll open the folder by clicking on it and creating a new playlist called Corporate Playlist. This will create the new playlist in the corporate folder. I'll get a prompt to confirm that the playlist I'm creating will be shared with all of the teams that have been granted permissions in this folder. I'll confirm by selecting Create and Share. I'll drag in my company-wide content and then navigate back to my main directory by clicking Home. Next, we'll create a folder for a playlist that will run location-specific content. We'll name this folder East Region and save. Now I'll hover over the East Region folder, click the three dots, and change permission. Now I'll select my East Region team to allow them view and edit access for the playlist in this folder. We'll add our corporate team as well and save. I'll open my East Region folder and create a playlist for this location. I'll call this Local Playlist. We can now drag in the content that is specific for this location. In a real-world scenario, this could be preloaded corporate-approved templates or content created and uploaded by the local branch office. Let's actually take a look at what this looks like. If we go to the Account menu and select the East Region Team account, I can now view what the team will see in their menu. As you can see, the regional team will be able to access that playlist folder and view and edit the playlist. However, you'll notice they do not have visibility to any of the other content in the default account. They also won't be able to edit the actual content pieces inside the playlist unless you give them permission to edit the assets in the local content folder. So let's do that. I'll go back to the default account, go to the Files and Assets, click on the three dots on the local content folder, change permission, grant the East Region team view and edit access to this folder, and then save. Now when I go back to the East Region team, not only can the branch office now see that local folder, but they can also edit the assets themselves. Now let's use what we've built to have our playlist work in tandem. Let's make sure we first go back to our default account. We'll open the corporate folder and create a new playlist called East Region Display. Now we can drag in the corporate playlist as well as the local playlist. Playlists within a playlist, like this, are often referred to as nested or sub-playlists. Now I have a single playlist that I can push to a screen that will display both the local and corporate messaging at the East Region location. This method allows the corporate team the ability to view and edit both playlists, but the East Region team can only view and edit the local playlist. If you have a more significant amount of corporate messaging that you want to space out, you can limit the time it displays in favor of local content by using the sub-playlist control options. While you're viewing inside of the Office East playlist, click the gear icon next to the corporate sub-playlist. We can enable sub-playlist control. From here, we can limit the amount of items from that playlist that are displayed over a set duration. I'll set this to 1 with a maximum duration of 30 seconds per item, and turn on Resume on Next Play. This will now play one item of corporate content per playlist rotation with a cap of 30 seconds per item, and with the Resume on Next Play turned on, it will automatically play the next item in the corporate playlist each time through. I'll save, and now I'm ready to push the playlist to the screen at the East Region office. I'll click Push to Screen, select the East Region screen, which has already been paired to the account, and I'm done. Let's take a look at the playlist in action. There's my first piece of content from my corporate playlist, and now the local content will start playing until it's time to play the next asset from the corporate playlist. That's it. We hope this guide was helpful in establishing some of the core principles of using playlists in OptiSigns. If you have further questions about the platform, we encourage you to watch our other videos on YouTube, check out any of our searchable support articles, and as always, you can reach out to our customer success team.